The meeting room was cold and quiet. Ambassador Velthor stood at the front, his three eyes looking nervous. He was from the Xinthian Empire, one of the oldest races in the galaxy. Today he had to ask humans for help, and he did not like it. Commander Jack Sullivan sat at the table with his team. He was a tall man with short brown hair and calm eyes. Next to him sat Kate Morrison, a scientist who studied alien life. She had red hair tied back and looked excited rather than worried. Danny Cruz, their pilot, leaned back in his chair with his arms crossed. Lisa Hayes, the engineer, was already looking at data on her tablet. Greg Foster, the medical officer, sat quietly taking notes. Amy Parker, their security expert, watched the ambassador with sharp eyes. Velthor cleared his throat. "Thank you for coming, Commander Sullivan. We have a situation that requires immediate attention." Jack nodded. "We're listening." The ambassador touched a control and a hologram appeared above the table. It showed a planet covered in dark green and brown colors. Thick clouds swirled around it. "This is Kepler 442b. 3 weeks ago, we lost contact with a research station there. 17 of our scientists were studying the planet's ecosystem." "What happened to them?" Kate asked, leaning forward. "We do not know. The station sent a distress signal, then nothing. We need someone to go there and find out what happened." Velthor paused, his eyes shifting nervously. "The problem is the planet's classification. What class is it?" Jack asked. "Class-0." The room went silent. Even among humans who were new to galactic society, everyone knew what Class-0 meant. It was the worst rating possible. It meant a planet so dangerous that almost nothing could survive there. Danny whistled low. "Class-0? I thought those were just theoretical." "They are rare," Velthor admitted. "This is only the third one ever discovered. The gravity is 2.3 times galactic standard. The atmosphere is dense and toxic to most species. Temperature changes are extreme. And the wildlife," he paused again. "The wildlife is exceptionally dangerous." Lisa looked up from her tablet. "Why haven't you sent your own people?" Velthor's skin changed color slightly, a sign of embarrassment in his species. "We tried. 2 rescue teams. Neither returned. We lost 43 people." He looked directly at Jack. "Your species is new to the Council. You have not proven yourselves yet. But you come from a Class-2 world, which is already considered quite hostile. We thought perhaps you thought we were expendable," Amy said flatly. The ambassador did not deny it. "We need volunteers who understand the risks. The Council will pay extremely well, but yes, we do not expect anyone to return from Kepler 442b. Jack stood up and walked to the hologram. He studied the planet carefully, rotating the image to see different angles. The others watched him, waiting for his decision. They had been through many missions together. They trusted his judgment. "What kind of wildlife are we talking about?" Kate asked. Velthor brought up new images. Creatures appeared in the hologram, each one looking more dangerous than the last. The dominant predators are called renders. They are 6-legged, heavily armored, and extremely aggressive. An adult can weigh up to 4 tons. They hunt in packs. The largest ones, the alphas, can reach 6 meters in height. Greg leaned forward. "Any weaknesses?" "If there are, we have not found them. Their hide is thick enough to stop most weapons. They are fast despite their size, and they are intelligent enough to set traps." "Sounds like fun," Danny muttered sarcastically. Jack turned back to face the ambassador. "We'll take the mission." Velthor's eyes widened in surprise. "Commander, I do not think you understand. This is not a standard rescue operation. This is almost certainly a recovery mission. You will be looking for bodies, not survivors, and you will very likely die in the process." "We understand," Jack said calmly. "But those are your people down there. If there's even a small chance they're alive, someone has to try." Kate stood up, smiling. "Besides, Earth has plenty of dangerous animals, too. We've dealt with them for thousands of years." "Class-2 dangerous is not the same as Class-0 dangerous," Velthor protested. "Maybe not," Lisa said, closing her tablet. "But we won't know until we try." The ambassador looked at each of them, seeing determination on every face. He realized these humans actually wanted to go. They were not being forced. They were volunteering. It was almost incomprehensible to him. "Very well," he said slowly. "I will inform the Council. You will have access to our best equipment and any support we can provide. When can you leave?" 2 days, Jack said. "We need time to prepare and train for the gravity." 2 days, Velthor repeated. "I will make the arrangements." He paused at the door. Commander Sullivan, may I ask you something? Go ahead. Why would you risk this? You owe us nothing. Your species barely knows us, Jack smiled slightly. Because it's the right thing to do. And because humans don't like being told something is impossible. After the ambassador left, the team gathered around the hologram of Kepler 402b. They had 48 hours to prepare for the most dangerous mission any of them had ever faced. All right, Jack said. Kate, I need everything you can find about these renders. Behavior patterns, biology, anything that might help us. Kate nodded eagerly. I'll start immediately. This is actually fascinating. A completely isolated ecosystem on a high-gravity world. Danny, check the ship. I want every system running perfectly. We can't afford any mechanical failures down there. Got it, boss. I'll give the Frontier a complete overhaul. Lisa, work on our suits. We need them modified for the gravity and atmospheric pressure. Also, see if you can rig up any surprises for the local wildlife. Lisa grinned. I have a few ideas already. Greg, medical prep. I want trauma kits, antidotes for anything you can think of, and enough supplies for 17 injured Xinthians plus us. Consider it done. Amy, weapons and tactics. Assume everything on that planet wants to kill us. Plan accordingly. Amy cracked her knuckles. My favorite kind of planning. The next 2 days were intense. The team trained in enhanced gravity chambers, pushing their bodies to adapt to the crushing weight they would face. It was exhausting and painful, but humans were good at adapting. Their bodies had evolved on a planet that constantly tried to kill them. A little extra gravity was just another challenge. Kate spent hours studying the limited data on renders. She noticed patterns in their hunting behavior. They were ambush predators, but they could also chase prey for long distances. They were strong, but she found weak points in their armor, joints where the plates did not quite meet. Lisa modified their environmental suits, reinforcing them against the pressure and temperature extremes. She also created several devices that she called surprises. When Amy asked what they did, Lisa just smiled and said they would find out if they needed them. Danny worked on the Frontier day and night. He upgraded the engines, reinforced the hull, and installed better sensors. If they were going into hell, at least their ship would be reliable. Greg packed enough medical supplies for a small hospital. He studied Xinthian biology and prepared treatments for injuries he hoped he would never see. Amy planned their tactics like she was preparing for war. She studied the terrain from orbital scans, identified potential ambush points, and created evacuation routes. She also made sure everyone knew how to use every weapon they had. On the morning of departure, the team stood in the hangar bay looking at the Frontier. It was a small ship, built for exploration rather than combat, but it was fast and tough, just like them. Velthor came to see them off. The Council is watching, he said quietly. They do not believe you will succeed. Some think I am sending you to your deaths for nothing. What do you think? Jack asked. The ambassador looked at each of them. I think humans are either very brave or very foolish. Perhaps both. But I hope you prove us all wrong. We will, Kate said confidently. They boarded the ship and sealed the hatches. Danny took the pilot's seat and started the engines. The Frontier lifted smoothly off the deck and turned toward the stars. As they left the station, Jack looked at his team. Everyone knows the mission. Find the scientists, get them out alive, and come home. Simple. Nothing about this is simple, Lisa said. No, Jack agreed. But when has that ever stopped us? The Frontier jumped to faster-than-light travel, and they began the 3-day journey to Kepler 442b. Behind them, the Galactic Council watched and waited. They had sent humans to an impossible mission on a Class-0 Deathworld. They expected to recover 6 more bodies in a few weeks. They had no idea what humans were actually capable of. The Frontier shook violently as it entered the atmosphere of Kepler 442b. Warning alarms screamed throughout the ship. The pressure outside was crushing and the winds were stronger than any hurricane on Earth. Danny gripped the controls tightly. His knuckles white, but his hands were steady. Passing through the storm layer, he announced, his voice calm despite the chaos. Landing zone is 2 minutes ahead. Jack stood behind the pilot seat watching the screens. Through the thick clouds, he could see glimpses of the jungle below. It looked dark and hostile, like something from a nightmare. Everyone ready? Suits are checked and sealed, Lisa reported from the cargo bay. All systems green. Weapons loaded, Amy added. We're good to go. The ship broke through the final cloud layer and they got their first clear view of Kepler 442b. The jungle stretched endlessly in every direction. The trees were massive, easily 100 meters tall, with trunks as wide as houses. The canopy was so thick that little light reached the ground below. Everything looked wet and dark and dangerous. Danny brought the Frontier down near the research station. The landing was rough and the ship groaned under the planet's heavy gravity. As soon as they touched down, everyone felt the difference. Moving felt like wearing heavy weights on every part of their body. "The gravity is no joke," Greg said, taking a few careful steps. "Every movement takes twice the effort." "We trained for this," Jack reminded them. "We can handle it. Let's gear up." They put on their environmental suits and checked their equipment one final time. Each person carried weapons, medical supplies, and communication devices. Lisa had also given everyone one of her special surprises, though she still had not explained exactly what they did. The loading ramp lowered, and hot, humid air rushed into the ship. The smell hit them immediately. It was thick and organic, like rotting plants mixed with something else, something that smelled like death. "That's pleasant," Kate muttered, activating her scanner, reading massive biodiversity. Thousands of different life forms within scanning range. Most of them are predators. "Of course they are," Amy said, raising her weapon. "Stay alert, everyone." They moved toward the research station in a tight formation. Jack led the way with Amy covering the rear. The ground was soft and muddy, making each step difficult in the heavy gravity. Strange sounds echoed through the jungle around them, clicking, hissing, and occasionally something that sounded like a roar in the distance. The research station was worse than they had imagined. The walls were torn open, bent inward by incredible force. Equipment was scattered everywhere, broken and covered in some kind of organic growth. There was no sign of the Xinthian scientists. "Look at this," Kate called out. She was kneeling next to a massive footprint pressed deep into the metal floor. "This is from a render. A big one. The pressure needed to dent metal like this." She shook her head. "We're talking about something that weighs several tons." "Tracks lead out into the jungle," Amy said, studying the ground. "Multiple creatures came through here. They took the scientists with them." Jack made his decision quickly. "We follow the tracks. If they took them alive, there might still be time." "Are you sure?" Danny asked. "Those tracks are fresh. Whatever made them could still be close." "That's why we need to move now," Jack said. "Greg, stay with the ship and keep it ready for quick takeoff. Everyone else with me." They followed the trail into the jungle. The massive trees blocked most of the light, making it feel like twilight even though it was midday. The undergrowth was thick and moved constantly with hidden life. Small creatures scattered at their approach, but Jack knew those were not the ones they needed to worry about. 2 hours into their trek, they found the first survivor. A Xinthian scientist was trapped in a web-like substance hanging between two trees. The alien was barely conscious, his breathing shallow. Greg immediately went to work while the others formed a protective circle around them. "Easy," Greg said softly, cutting through the webbing. "We're here to help." "Can you tell me your name?" "Klenak," the scientist whispered. His voice was weak and filled with pain. "You should not have come. The renders will kill you too." "Let us worry about that," Greg said, injecting medication into the alien's arm. "Where are the others?" "North, 2 kilometers. The nest." Klenak's 3 eyes focused on them with difficulty. "How are you even standing? The gravity should crush you." "We're tougher than we look," Kate said, scanning the area with her device. "Lisa, we need that signal booster." Lisa was already working on it, pulling equipment from her pack. "Give me 5 minutes. We can call for extraction once we have the others." Jack knelt beside Klenak. "How many renders are at the nest?" "Too many, dozens, and the Alpha." The scientist shuddered. "The Alpha is massive. Nothing can fight it and survive." "We'll see about that," Amy said quietly. With Klenak secured and the signal booster active, they continued toward the nest. The jungle grew darker and the sounds around them changed. There were fewer small creatures now. Even the insects seemed to avoid this area. That was never a good sign. The nest appeared suddenly through the trees. It was a nightmare structure made of bones, twisted plants, and something that looked like hardened resin. The smell was overwhelming. Inside, they could see cocoons hanging from the ceiling. Some of them moved slightly, showing that whatever was inside was still alive. 13 cocoons, Kate counted. That matches the number of missing scientists plus Klenak. And 4 renders, Amy added, pointing. 3 adults and 1 juvenile. They're sleeping now, but they'll wake up fast if we make noise. Jack studied the situation carefully. The nest was about 50 meters away across open ground. There was no cover, no way to sneak in quietly. We need a distraction. Something to draw them away from the nest. I have an idea, Lisa said, pulling out one of her surprises. It was a small device covered in blinking lights. This is a sonic emitter. It produces sounds at frequencies that most predators find extremely annoying. It should get their attention. Should? Danny asked. Probably will, Lisa corrected with a grin. Jack divided them into 2 teams. Amy and Danny would create the distraction and lead the renders away. Jack, Kate, and Lisa would enter the nest and free the scientists. It was risky, but they were out of options. Amy activated the sonic emitter and threw it far to the left of the nest. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the device began producing a high-pitched wailing sound that hurt even human ears. The effect on the renders was immediate. The creatures erupted from the nest, roaring in anger. They were even bigger than the reports had suggested. Their armored hides gleamed darkly, and their multiple legs moved with terrifying speed despite their size. They charged toward the sound, and Amy and Danny ran, leading them deeper into the jungle. Go! Jack shouted, sprinting toward the nest. They reached the cocoons and began cutting the scientists free. The webbing was tough, but their blades were sharp. One by one, the Xinthian scientists fell into their arms, weak and terrified, but alive. You came for us, one of them whispered in disbelief. You actually came? Of course we did, Kate said, helping another scientist out of their cocoon. That's what rescue teams do. They were freeing the last scientist when the ground shook. A roar echoed through the jungle so loud that it made their ears ring. Through the trees, they saw it. The alpha render was even bigger than they had feared. It stood 6 meters tall, its scarred hide showing decades of battles. And it was coming straight toward the nest. Everyone move, Jack ordered. Back to the extraction point now. They ran, half carrying the weak scientists. Behind them, the alpha smashed through trees like they were twigs. Its roar drove them forward, pushing them past exhaustion. The heavy gravity made every step agony, but they did not stop. Amy and Danny rejoined them, breathing hard. That thing is fast, Danny gasped. Really, really fast. Lisa, please tell me you have another surprise, Jack said. Lisa pulled out her largest device yet. Fuel cell explosive. It won't kill that thing, but it should slow it down. Good enough. Set it up. They reached a narrow passage between 2 massive rocks. The scientists went through first, then Kate and Greg. Lisa placed her explosive and set the timer for 10 seconds. She ran through the passage just as the alpha reached them. The explosion was massive. Fire and smoke filled the air. The alpha roared in pain and anger, but it was not dead. It was, however, very confused and very angry. The ship is just ahead, Danny called out. Everyone keep moving. The Frontier came into view, its engines already running. Greg had prepared everything perfectly. They stumbled up the loading ramp, carrying the last of the scientists. Amy fired at the Alpha to keep it back, and Jack pulled her aboard just as Danny lifted off. The Alpha's claws scraped against the hull, but then they were airborne, climbing fast through the atmosphere. The creature's roars faded below them, and finally, they were through the clouds and into space. In the cargo bay, the rescued scientists lay exhausted but alive. All 17 of them had survived. Greg moved between them, providing medical care and comfort. They stared at the humans with expressions of awe and confusion. You did it, Kleenock said quietly. You went to a Class-0 world and brought us all back alive. How? Jack smiled tiredly. We're from Earth. Our planet spent billions of years trying to kill us, and we're still here.